Okay. Good evening, everyone. Before we begin this conversation of today, I would just like to place on record our condolences for Dr. Shailaja Nikam, who we lost on 26th of November. As we all know, she was a pioneering member of our profession. She was one of the signatories of the Memorandum of Association of ISHA. So, we will be having a prayer meeting for Dr. Nikam very soon. We will be announcing it on all the ISHA communication channels, and we will be getting in touch with the family also to express our condolences. So, to begin with today's session, today we are here to discuss and have an open conversation about Rehabilitation Council of India and National Council for Allied Health Professionals. Now, since the NCAHP has come into existence in 2021, there have been lot of talks, lot of discussions in different professional forums, different groups, or even many members have approached ISHA about it. So during this year, since the last few months, we have been trying to learn more about it, trying to educate ourselves, and hence through the quality cell of Isha, we had also conducted a poll about this, which had been sent out to all the professionals, speech and hearing professionals from the country. And we thought now we will take it a step further, a step ahead, where today we have invited some leaders to share their perspectives based on their experiences so far, based on what we have read about both the acts. So, we are focusing here on having an open conversation and basically educating ourselves, because there is a lot that we need to know about NCHP, and there is a lot that we need to have clarity upon. So, with this aim in mind, we have arranged for this session today. And to conduct this session, I will now invite Dr. Prakash Boominathan. He is the chairperson of the quality cell of ISHA, and since this activity has been uh, going under his supervision, he is going to moderate the session. And I request Dr. Prakash to now take over the session, introduce the panelists, and then have the discussion.
Thank you, Dr. Aparna, President of ISHA. So, as Dr. Aparna said, the idea of this discussion is to educate ourselves about the acts which is happening, which is in front of us, and how we move forward. Okay, so I have the pleasure of introducing the panel today. Yeah, so Uh, we have five panelists join me today to discuss on this topic. Very quickly, all of us are life members of ISHA, but in our own personal capacities, we have certain credentials. I just thought I'll briefly introduce the panel to the audience who have joined us today. Professor C.S. Vanaja is our first panelist, a senior teacher with over 40 years of experience in our field, several years at ISH and later close to 2 decades at Bharati Vidyapeeth Pune, retired as principal of Bharati Vidyapeeth. She's a leader par excellence, respected by many of us for her balanced approach and cautious foresight in dealing with professional issues. She has her origins in the south but represents today the western part of India. Thank you, Madam, for joining us today. The next in the list is Professor S.P. Goswami, over 30 years of experience and is currently a professor of speech language pathology at AISH. and also holds a position of Dean Research. He is known leader for his outspoken thoughts and actions, a person who thinks out of the box, dares to call a spade, and a respected professional in our community. He has his origin from the West, but he represents the voice of South in India today. Uh, Third is Mr. Chandan Saha, currently a private practitioner from Kolkata with over 25 years of experience in the field, leads several regional activities, and represents the voice of the East. He is known for his interdisciplinary networking and leadership. He has great many opportunities and experience in working with a medical team in institutional and private clinic setups in India and neighboring countries. Thank you, Mr. Chandan, for joining us today. Next, Dr. Pinki Singh, currently assistant professor at Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose Medical College, Jabalpur, and earlier at AIMS Bhopal with over 15 years of experience in the field. She has had served the EC of ISHA and as the editor of GISHA, networks with neurologists, cognitive neurolinguists, and other transdisciplinary areas in emerging fields of speech language pathology and audiology. She is an expert member of the Committee on Aphasia in the Indian Academy of Neurology. She has experience working under the Ministry of Health organizations in the recent years, and she represents the voice of Central India. The last to join in the panel this evening is Mr. Jitendra Saini. He is an assistant professor from Amity University, Gurugram, also the general secretary of the Delhi branch of ISHA, and truly represents the voice of the youth, I think. He has over 10 years of experience in the field, buzzing with energy and ideas to transform the landscape of ASLP profession in India, I think, and he represents the voice of the northern parts of India. So here we have five panelists from different parts of the country with varied years of experience, and I have the pleasure in the capacity as chair of Quality Cell to interview them on some topics of concern for many of us. Okay, the idea is to look at through their eyes and their exposure and experience, the developments in our field, the growing needs of our profession, and how we will be able to walk through this changing need which is in front of us. So to begin, uh, I want to very clearly say what we are not doing in this panel discussion. We are not choosing side. We are not taking whether it is RCI or NCAHP. We are not debating on the political aspects or shift in the ministries. We are not criticizing institutions or the councils, and we are not going to provide legal advice. We are only talking our mind. The primary focus is to create an awareness, create an education about what is what, how can we set our priorities right, and how can we move forward. This all came from a lot of mails which Isha received over the last 6 7 months from the time NCHP enactment came, and then there was a lot of talk. And when we shot out a survey, we had 474 respondents, and among that, we could categorize them as who on their own said, what do they understand about the knowledge and awareness of the scope of purpose and function and implementation of these two acts. Around 21% said they were very aware. And I would like to group the rest of the three who said somewhat aware, not aware at all, or heard of it but not very clear, as into one group that still are not understanding what is it. So only 21%, and those responses were the feeder. The 21% was the primary feeder for this conversation, which we are going to have for the next 45 minutes to an hour. When we talk about the education and disability rehabilitation in India, I just thought this would be the first step for us to educate ourselves about what has happened in our country. How have we maneuvered over the years from the time post independence? So one of the first important thing which came, which talked about disability education, was the Kotari Commission's report in 1964, which first mentioned that there is a need for equal access, inclusion, and quality education to include children with disabilities, and they emphasized inclusive education. From there, it went to the integrated education for scheme of the government of India, where the focus was on early identification, where they identified resources were very limited. So, resource teacher and support services and aids and appliances first mention was only in that scheme. The National Education Policy in 1986 also gave some importance to special education and inclusive environments, and they emphasized the need for having rehabilitation needs to our country. Around the same time in 1986 is where RCI was established as a society. It was not even a statutory body at that time, it was only a society. And to standardize the education and training for rehabilitation professionals, including audiologists, speech language pathologists, psychologists, and special educators. Only in 1992, the Act was enacted by the Parliament and it became as a legal statutory body in 1993. And it remains to be the strongest legal framework for rehabilitation professionals in the disability sector till date. The PWD Act was in 1995, which again had influence on the ways our profession took shape, and it emphasized on prevention, education, employment, and access for people with disability. And we were one amongst the spokesperson to enforce these things. National Trust Act in 1999 came up with community-based rehabilitation and guardianship protection. RCI Act was amended later in 2000, where it included more number of categories under rehab professions. It strengthened the regulatory mechanisms and modernization of the council and aligned with that times needs in 2000 whatever in after 86 after 92 after 8 years again there was some revision to it. India became a signatory to UN Convention of Rights of Persons with Disabilities in 2006. From there, the national policy for persons with disability came into existence, where barrier free access and inclusive universal design emphasis came. The Department of Persons with Empowerment of People with Disabilities was established in 2012, and the revised RPD Act came in 2016. And now 2016 to 18 SSA Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan and or now it's reformed as Samagra Shiksha Abhiyan came into existence, where we started paralleling with the education department. NEP came into existence in 2020, which brought up a lot of change in the educational sectors, multidisciplinary learning, flexible curricula, and strong focus on inclusive and early childhood intervention was there in NEP. RCI adopted the NEP and a new syllabus was rolled out in 2024, which is called NEP Aligned, which came up with the guidelines given by NEP, restructuring the credits as per the National Credit Framework, skills based curricula, and embedding inclusion across teacher and professional training was emphasized in the NEP 2024. So these are the different timelines which I thought one should know as we discuss the different aspects which we are going to be talking today in our discussion. So, with this background, let me open up the panel discussion with the first panelist. I may ask Vanaja ma'am to answer this question. To set the foundation, may I now know what is the central focus and purpose of the RCI Act, in your opinion, ma'am? Ma'am, you have to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, thank you. There's an echo, Prakash. Hello? Yeah. Yeah. First of all, congratulations to ISHA for having this panel discussion with the view of educating all the members. And thank you for including me as one of the panelists for this. And thanks for the nice introduction, Prakash. Yeah, I think everybody is familiar with Rehabilitation Council of India. The RCI Act came in 1992, and and that's when 1993 Rehabilitation Council of India became a statutory body. So I want everybody to know that, remember that Rehabilitation Council of India is a statutory body established by the Parliament. It's under Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment. The major responsibility is to monitor the services provided to persons with disabilities. So it is to monitor and regulate the services provided. So it has a central rehabilitation register where it actually uh, regulates all the professionals who are giving services in the field of rehabilitation and special education. So it ensures that people with qualified professionals will be providing services to people, and also maintain, all of you know that it maintains that everybody has to renew their certificate and ensure that they're updating their knowledge and if they're not really outdated with their knowledge. And because it is monitoring the services provided, it also has a responsibility of looking into the syllabi of various courses that offer degree or diploma degree or postgraduate degree for offering services for rehabilitation. And it also monitors the institutes or the training programs. So the institutes where the training is being given. So it monitors that. So basically, it is major aim is to ensure that persons with disabilities get services from qualified professionals. It also has a right to penalize people, unqualified persons, if providing services to people. Does that make it clear?
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think you've addressed most of it, and it's very important for us as the primary purpose of the council is to provide the services. So I just have summarized the act also. So it is basically recognition of rehabilitation qualifications under Section 11. Section 15 to 16 will talk about inspecting and visiting the institutions. Section 18 talks about setting minimum standards. One of the primary thing is to have a uniform curriculum across the country so that standards of training for all the professionals is the same. Professional conduct and removal from the registry and maintenance of the central rehabilitation register of the professionals was one of the primary purposes of the RCI under Section 23. The focus was on primarily disability rehabilitation and special education sectors. And one point which you emphasized was to ensure that only registered professionals who are qualified provide rehabilitation services will be able to do that in the country. That was the major purpose of this RCI statutory council. It regulates 88 programs and has taken 16 different categories of rehabilitation professionals under its aid to protect the titles and to ensure that the professional and the people who are the beneficiaries of the professionals receive the required sort of professional thing. Thank you very much for giving that, fixing that first step for us to proceed with the next question. Um, I Before we go to the next question, just like how the rehabilitation and education reforms happened, the health and allied health professional legislations also have had a transformation in India, and several acts were enacted pre-independence, and some were modified. The same things were modified post-independence, depending upon the requirement. And every healthcare professional was protected under law or were provided guidance as how to do, the pharmacists, the dentists, the medical professionals. And there were also regulations on the way they would conduct their service and things. The paramedic sector possibly got some attention from our parliament only around 2001 when the Parliament Paramedical Council Bill was introduced. And physiotherapy, it was recasted as paramedical and physiotherapy bill. There was a very strong lobbying by the physiotherapy colleagues. So physiotherapy bill got emphasis. The National Commission Bill, Health Bill, came around 2011. That was one of the first attempts to regulate all health professionals. But it all stayed as bill until 2021. Okay, so it's almost like for 2 decades, it had several transformations, and one of the major work was through a Government of India study in 2012, which paved the basis for asking many things of these unregulated sectors in the health. And the term paramedic was understood differently and was used so loosely, and everybody was involved in providing services in the medical fraternity, in the medical team as part of the team. And uh, over several years, finally, the enactment came in 2021 as the national, you know, um, act, and that is where we are now. And so the next question to my next panelist, I would think I will ask Dr. Goswami to answer this. So, for wider clarity, can you explain the overarching vision of the NCAP, the National Commission on Allied Health Professionals Act, and what it seeks to standardize in healthcare professionals? Dr.
Thank you,
Goswami.
Prakash. I agree with Vanaja madam, whatever she has said about the RCI Act. RCI and NCAHP Act, actually they run parallelly. Okay, if you draw into these things, this act also talks about in terms of bringing the allied healthcare professionals under one umbrella, okay, under one what you call as body. That is one thing. And it also talks about bringing a uniform educational standard, which they have been talking in terms of which they have taken the basis from NEP. That is, they are talking more with reference to the competency based. And also they try to register various professionals, the allied and the healthcare professionals. That's what they have defined it to register. So like how we have CRR. Similarly, they also wanted to have a registration of these allied healthcare professionals under commonalities. Plus, they are also talking about that they wanted to standardize the quality, safety, and accountability of healthcare professionals across India. Those are the broad perspectives which NCAHP is talking about. But NCAHP in its act, in your like what we have in the RCI, the first line, the first paragraph, and what you have the first paragraph in NCAHP, they do not talk about monitoring and regulations. That means NCAHP is not directly monitoring and regulating the professionals. Okay, they are doing through the indirect pathways. That is, they are following the state councils. So the basic is this is a commission. This is not a council based, and there are differences which we can discuss. This, but the basis for both RCI and NCHP are National Medical Commission or the previously what you called as the National Medical Council. So they have taken the basis from that. So it is actually both have same genesis, but they have tried to look into that how best way the services and the education can be standardized and can be brought under a uniform body.
Thank you very much. So I think the idea is that both of them have commonalities. There are possibilities to have commonalities while there are differences in the way they may function. As Dr. Goswami first said, allied health professional and healthcare professional. So NCHP Act defines clearly as allied health professionals as support staff. Okay, with minimum of 2,000 hours of training, they define and say this is the minimum amount required, and it's for 2 to 4 year degree. Whereas any healthcare professional will have at least 3,600 hours of training and will have 3 to 6 years of training for them to practice. They define the scope of training, practice, and levels of independence. Who is considered as independent professional under the health, and who have to work as per guidance or supervision, under supervision. They maintain central and state registers, set uniform standards for education, curriculum, and licensing examination is something they call for. So they want to introduce competencies. They want to identify competencies for ensuring that the right sort of activities will be done in the hospitals or in the healthcare sector. So licensing examinations just not enough for getting a degree, but you have to pass a licensing exam. It regulates ethics and professional conduct, and it also mandates registration for practice, and it very clearly delineates, just like the RCI Act, offense to practice without registration. Okay, so all of these are the major focuses of the NCAP Act, and it covers almost 56 professions under 10 different categories. And of that, only a few are identified as completely professional degree, which means more than 3,600 hours of training, who can act independently. Rest of them will be under supervision. They will not be identified as independent professionals. They will have to be identified as working under a medical doctor or a medical supervision only. This two questions which the two panelists have answered and has given us the base for the subsequent discussions which we are going to have today. My question is, if you are going to keep these two acts side by side, what are the common goals and regulatory functions do you see in both of them? I will leave it open for any panelist to answer this question. And if there is anything more, somebody can add as well. What do you see in common in these two? What are their regulatory functions like?
You want me to answer, Prakash?
Please go ahead, Dr.
Okay.
Goswami.
If you put both these act parallelly, what Prakash said, okay, both acts are passed by the parliament. If you looked into the sections from top to bottom, if you looked into the overall content, both have the same statutory bodies. They have the both are talking about regulation, both are talking about standardization, both are talking about registration, both are talking about the punitive actions. Only the difference here, what Dr. Prakash said, is here you have an exit policy. In the sense, they will have an entrance, and based upon the entrance, you qualify it that, okay, you are licensed to practice or you are registered to practice, which RCI do not have, but RCI is talked about that. Okay, RCI is also talking about that. So basically, at a gross level, if you looked into any act, the act which is passed by the parliament has same mandate any other act can have. Okay, because it has been passed by the parliament. So parliament, when it is act, they will look into all nitty-gritties which are same. There are no major differences in terms of how the commission is going to work or how the council is going to work. They defined in terms of functionality. They talked about in terms of power. They talked about in terms of the infrastructure. They talked about in terms of the finances. All those chapters are there. The only difference is that NCAHP has talked about there are more number of chapters. There are, I think, 8 chapters, but here there are only 3 chapters. But if you looked into holistic, it is same. When you read at a broader level, it counts same perspective are there. So the aim or the what you call as the main objective of both the act is same, that how do you provide quality services to persons with various disorders, diseases, or illness who require the services of different healthcare professional, rehabilitation professionals, whatever you talked about. They are talking about the monitoring, mentoring, and making it that everyone is accountable when they deliver services, which can be at a HRD level, which can be at a research level, which can be at advocacy level, which can be at a clinical level. You name it, it can have. But grossly, they talked about this.
Thank you. Does any of the panelists want to add anything more as what are the common goals or the regulatory functions we see in both these acts, apart from what Dr. Goswami has said? The commonalities are, as to just summarize what he said, they have statutory powers. The council functions national regulatory authority of the professions which come under them. Mandatory registration of professionals for practice. Without registration, one cannot practice henceforth. Both acts help protect the titles, whatever we are, speech pathologist, speech therapist, audiologist. They set the minimum education standards and curriculum regulation, and they keep on revising it. There is a mandate that they need to keep upgrading that. Inspection and recognition of institutions for training so that the manpower is adequately skilled. Disciplinary powers, they can enforce that if somebody is not registered with them, they don't have the power to practice. And if somebody is registered with them and they have unethical means of thing, then they can issue penalties for misuse, non-compliance, and the commitment to quality, safety, and standardization of care to clients are all common commonalities shared between these two acts. So they are basically made to protect both the professionals, the profession, and the service receivers in whatever sector they may be. That leads to the next question for me. What are the major differences in these two policies? In terms of possibly their purpose, coverage, regulatory approach instead of the regulatory power, is there a difference in their approach? Or do you see a difference in the structure or focus and scope of these two acts? I can have anybody answer this also.
Do you want me to start and others
Yeah.
can
Yes,
add
ma'am.
on?
Yes, ma'am. Please. Yeah.
I think one major thing is you have to say, like, one is the ministry. National Council of Allied Health Professionals is under Ministry of Health, and this is under Ministry of Social Justice. And I think the major thing why people are concerned or our ISHA members are concerned about this is here we are called as rehabilitation professionals, and there you will be a healthcare professional. So I think that is what is really making a big noise for the ISHA members is what I feel. That is why they feel that, okay, we should move from RCI to the other council is what some people feel in a thing. And otherwise, the other major thing is one, like as you said, Rehabilitation Council of India is one, it's a national council, whereas Allied Health ka you have the national commission and then you have a state councils. And it has many councils under that who will be doing all the regulatory thing. And Goswami sir already talked about the differences in terms of the licensure also, having an exam and not having an exam here.
So an exit exam or a license.
Exit
Right.
examination.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, Mr. Chandan.
there's one more thing in the constituents of members. In RCI, it is not mentioned that which all professionals will be there. But here in NCAHP, it is representation has been taken from each fraternity as a mandatory. Each will have a council of them, and each council will have a member in the commission. So in the commission, representation of different fraternities will be uh, ensured.
So
And
you're talking about the
definitely,
constitution of the commission itself. So there is representation for each thing. Though there is a
and
ceiling on the number of people who may be as a member there. Okay.
yeah, and but though the common goals are common, but there is a huge difference in the degree of focus that has been given in both RCI and NCHP. Like you talk about the penalties are 5,000 K, 50,000 K, 50,000 versus 1,000. Even other differences like uh, their structuring. We have delineated the people working here. So we have separated them into two categories. Here, everything is mixed up in RCI. Everything is mixed up as one. Education as well as treatment, both are included as one group.
Yeah,
Can
point.
I just, you want me to
Yes,
talk?
yes,
I have few
yes,
points
Doc.
in this.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Dr.
have just
Goswami.
tried to put the comparison between RCI and NCAHP. The first comparison is that when you looked into RCI, yes, RCI is looking from rehabilitation and disability point of view. But when you talk about rehabilitation and disability, these are integrated component of healthcare sector. Okay. NCHP, on the other hand, is talking about allied and healthcare professional. I'll come back to that because I have certain concerns what is written in the act. Professional registration, when you talked about, this act has come in the year 2021 and it's almost 4 years old. RCI has defined it and we have active and passive registration number, which is in whichever form it will be, we have defined it and it is there. But NCHP till now, since last 4 years, still it is into what you called as infant, not even infant, it is still into that,
Newborn.
not a ovulation stage, it is into ovulation stage. It has not been
It's
born
come out.
also.
It is born.
No, it is not born. In the sense, I'm just talking about those things, okay?
No,
Curriculum framework,
it
when you
had a
look
very
in,
long gestation, of 20 years.
yeah,
2001 to 2021 was a gestation period for the enactment. And
yes.
once it is born, it possibly has some premature
Yeah, you can have those
features.
because still it has not started, that birth cry has not come. Okay. Okay. So
Okay.
curriculum framework, when you looked into our, we have around 30 plus years of experience and we know it, what goes in, what does not go in. We have defined it, refined it over a period of time. While NCHP, still it is into the developmental stages and I have apprehension about the syllabus. Like when they frame the syllabus, I'm sorry to say that they have not looked into that what the curriculum should be there, how it is different from scope of practice, and how it is different from the entitlements.
Right. So this
So
comes to
that
be structure. So I'm
structure,
only
that's what.
asked. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Go ahead, please. Yeah. Sorry
So
to
that is
interrupt.
the basic difference that they should, when you framed a council or when you frame a commission, it should have a clarity what to define under which clause. It should come under act, not under syllabus. Okay. Third thing is when we looked into professional identity, people, I know health is a bigger term and all those things, but if you looked into all the professionals, I think we are better placed. Better placed after the enactment of PWD Act, RPWD Act. Our stature has improved. People are looking into us, into the medical board. Yes, some states have not looked into, that is a different term. But nowhere these professionals are aligned other than the OTs and physiotherapists are there, but not well versed. Degree structure, it is same. 3+1 we are following. They are also following 3+1 or 4+1. But
Now
we
they're 4+1.
4+1, madam.
Yeah. 4
But
plus
we
1.
also
4
have a
plus
provision,
1 or 4 plus 6 months.
whatever it they can call. But it is basically a bachelor's degree. You define it in terms of credits. Okay, that is also there. Representation, if you looked into, we have a direct representation compared to NACHP. The another basic difference is it's a commission. It's a commission, and when you make commission, please understand there is a difference between a commission and the council. Okay, commission they wanted to have in par with NMC, but it does not have teeth to bite because they are indirectly going to depend on the council. And when they do with this council, the council are the one who are going to assess the organizations. If you looked into this act, monitoring has been very poorly defined. Over a period of time, all these councils will allow all the professionals to open institutions which will be substandard in nature.
Yeah. So the
I
state
agree,
state
RCI
state has
has
the power.
it
State has the power, and within the
within the
state
state
council will decide whether
British
that
Council.
state.
to do
Yes.
it or not do it. And state council will become like how you have UGC. UGC puts a guidelines, but every university does not follow it. Okay, so you cannot directly control or monitor them. the biggest mistake which this NCHP has done, which is not there in any act. I'm sorry to say, I'll take 1 30 seconds. If you read the last line, miscellaneous means how legally they have said uh, in the act last page. If you looked into, okay, if you look, that cannot be there in any act. I don't know how they have gone with this act. They have written that it cannot have any legal binding. I will just tell you the page, which I felt how can miscellaneous.
That
If
is
you read it, I will read first line. Okay, it says bar of jurisdiction. Okay, no civil court shall have a jurisdiction to entertain any suit or proceeding in respect of any order made by the commission or state council relating to removal of the name or refusal to enter the name in CRR and state register, as the case may be. Means this is not there in any commission or any act.
so. This is
Even
given to the
RCI has the
state.
same thing.
Pardon?
No,
Even
it is to
RCI has the
protect.
same thing.
No, it is
It
to
is to
protect,
protect.
but
It is
you
to protect
cannot
the.
be over and above the court.
No, no,
Supreme Court is the highest jurisdiction body.
It does not
They
no,
can
mean that.
rule. Huh? It is. Because the
no,
moment you do it, tomorrow what they will do, they will, that means no member can be come into the court of
no,
law.
no, no. This is to protect the functioning of the act. So this is
Yeah,
to
functioning of the
protect the
act is
functioning
always
of the
there.
act, and so any regulatory power of the act which has been revised as per the need of the growth of the profession or the prevailing civil laws or requirements.
No, they have said,
The no, no, no.
It
This is to empower the enforcement
commission.
of the act. So it is not to protect any person or anything. It's to protect the enforcement of the act. The only point which we thank you for providing these differences, and I think that provides the seat for the next question which we will have. But before, I also want to summarize the differences. Um, you know that as pointed out by the panelists, that we come under two different ministries. One is Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment, and this is Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. The primary focus is on disability rehabilitation and special education, whereas there the mainstream healthcare, allied and health sciences. um, the purpose is rehabilitation professionals and rehabilitation service, regulate rehabilitation professional training and services provided under disability laws. Here it is for 56 professions and some which were earlier called as paramedics, now called health professionals or allied health professionals, which are categorized under 10 different categories. Um, ASLP is positioned as rehabilitation professionals, as Dr. Goswami said, healthcare professionals, but there is no specific scope of each professional. They have not delineated very clearly. NCHP Act, at least here we have still an identity to protect or to call ourselves as something. There is no, there is the grayness is more, it's wider. His scope of practice is very defined. We have had a scope of practice document from RCI in 2015. There is no scope of practice as of yet defined, and 56 professions have to be defining their scope of practice, which is again going to be quite a lengthy process. And as Dr. Goswami again said, they are possibly in the infancy, but they have bigger things to cater to. Educational standards, minimum education as per NEP 2024. The NCHP Act has also aligned to NEP. That is also a mandate for the NCHP Act. Only 13 professionals as on date. As of today, only 13 professional syllabus or curriculum. Again, the divides are quite confusing. As Dr. Goswami pointed out, if one reads through the syllabus, you will realize how much of disparities or how much of confusion in how these can be actually enforced into the college. All these while till 25, from the time we have had independence to 25, 75 plus years, several colleges have mushroomed across the country providing degrees, diplomas in all of these. At least the council, NCHP Act also said in another 5 years, they will fade out all the diplomas and everything will become a degree program, minimum of 2 years, 3 years, I mean, 3 years, minimum of 3 years for them to practice as healthcare professionals. Central Rehabilitation Register is there in the RCI Act. There also they have a central register, but the state register only will enforce. So the person has to register in the state. So the how this is going to be working is going to be difficult. Institutional regulations comes under both, but the institution regulation enforcement again is going to be rested with the state and not with the central commission. The central commission will define the laws or define the regulations, will define the rules, but the enforcement all has to happen depending upon the state absorbing it. The state council only will enforce whatever the central licensing as on date required for under RCI, whereas NCAHP Act says there will be provision for licensing, exit examination. They also say teacher eligibility examinations will come into force. They have already released for, there was a circular 2 days back which said NEET is a minimum eligibility to become a student under any of those 13 different categories they have listed under that circular. So NEET eligibility is not required for RCI provided courses, whereas now that will become a common thing. It's not an mandatory, it's becoming an eligibility requirement, which means again there is going to be some more ways of restricting the number of people who are seeking to study our courses. Penalties, fines, imprisonment, as Mr. Chandan pointed out, it has very larger amount. Of course, this is 2021 Act, whereas RCI Act was 1992, and so the money values possibly are there. But there is the provision of fining and penalizing somebody who is not practicing or unregistered practice or unethical practice or false claims, misrepresentation is the same. Professional titles are protected: rehabilitation professional, audiologist, speech therapist. Title protection for all provision once registers become active. How are we going to keep all of these people who have studied or graduated so far? What professional titles are they going to take? All these are evolving there. Model of regulation, rehabilitation centric model, healthcare workforce development model, they completely follow a medical model there. Maturity and implementation, fully functional for 4 decades. We've had our own paces of functioning though, but it is a functioning system already. Still in initial implementation stages, register and scope yet to be activated, and possibly it will gain much momentum and much faster than what RCI has done in 4 decades. Possibly they will be able to achieve that in a decade or less, or maybe a little more. But these are the primary differences between these two acts and how this will be enforced in our country. Now, going to the next question is coming from the survey response. Okay, this, as I told you, I have considered the ones who said, I know about these two acts very well, and so I am giving my opinions. So, percentage of SLPs who said, ASLPs who said we should consider shifting to NCAP is almost close to 70% of them said they think there is a strong need for us to consider shifting to NCAP. While there was also some catch questions for us to realize how things worked, but to our surprise, it really showed that the ones who voted really knew what they voted. Very closely, we got again, we should consider staying. It says around 50% says we should not stay with RCI. this 20% was the catch. Possibly we missed out, there was some difference, but more or less majority of them say things that we should consider relooking what we are doing today. Now, with that base, I have the next question for the panelist here. Maybe I will ask Dr. Pinki to come in here now to give her opinion. In today's context, what strengths does RCI system offer that are important for ASLPs to recognize? Based on your experience, what aspects of RCI's regulatory model work well for audiologists and speech language pathologists? could be considered as advantageous for us? We are already positioned well. Can you highlight that, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. So, first of all, I would think that RCI is giving us existing representation among the our whole body, because if we are going to shift to the NCHAP, then there will be a loss of existing representation. Again, I will suggest that regarding the grievances and redressal mechanism, we are going to be addressed well to the RCI if we are going to shift to the NCHAP, although it's a wider setup is there, so wider population will be there, professional will be there. So I guess our problem, our grievances could be a bit become less diluted. May become diluted, so this could be the one thing. Again, one particular thing, if I'll talk about the RCI thing, so we are very much particular about the curriculum what we are maintaining right now. What Goswami sir has also stated, that we know the scope of the curriculum, what it should be maintained. That if we are going to shift to the NCHAP, might be that our curriculum might get diluted, because how we are going to implement it, that could be the one major thing that we need to look for. And again, one more about the establishment of the center in state. Right at present, we have the all India recognition, so we are getting all the licenses or practicing CRR number, and on the basis of the all India, and that could
We
be
don't have
again the
license yet. We only have registrations, but it is national
registration. Yeah, yeah,
registration. Yeah,
yeah,
this at the
yeah.
center level. We don't have a
Yes,
state registration, which means
yeah.
I have an RCI number. I can practice anywhere in the country.
Yes, sir. That is the good thing. What I feel about the RCI, that could be might have a differences with the NCHAP. These are my thoughts. So.
Thank you very much. So very pointedly, nicely said. 3, 4 points. Do I have any other panelists want to say what may be the advantages of continuing with RCI? Okay. We have already, as she said, we have a structured curriculum and we have revised it periodically. We are up to date with what the scientific world is expecting us to learn. We have registrations, though no licensing, but we have registrations. Allows us to practice anywhere within the country, and there are minimum yardsticks of what is expected of us. Our titles are protected. We are identified as audiologists and speech language pathologists. Any other advantages any of the panelists want to pitch in here?
Prakash, I just have one thing. Here in RCI, we have defined what is professional and personal. We have made a very clear-cut demarcation. But when I was reading this national, this NCAHP, they have written into two terms, allied health and healthcare professionals. In a healthcare professional, they have put therapist also. But I think the clarity is not there. Are they making in terms of the year of education or anything else? Because they have defined 3, 2 to 4 there, and here it is 3 to 6. So I don't know what happens to the overlaps. So either I think they should have only called as healthcare professional or allied healthcare professional. It should not have been allied and healthcare professional. I don't know what it means. Means I have a confusion with that.
Okay.
I have one add-on to this. Like
Yes.
as I was going through the uh, NCHP Act, under 2D they mentioned that they also have technologists, technicians, etc. So I wonder, हमारा audiologist और speech language pathologist उधर जाके technologist ना हो जाए.
No, there is something called a speech technologist. There is a technologist here. They are looking into those things. See, technician, those are not defined in the act. Those has come as employment based. Okay. In the act, there is no word of technician, speech and hearing technician or audiometry.
No,
That they
not
have
in the
put.
RCI Act. I think Mr. Jitendra was
Yeah,
talking
he's saying
about
in
the
that act. So you will
NCAP,
not be
where,
able to fit into
yeah,
that.
there are medical technologists.
Technologist.
So medical technologists. So we should not be muddled in that term, is what is possibly
Yes, sir.
cautioning. Okay. Any other point which we think the panel thinks is an advantage for staying with RCI? While the the survey responses were like nearly 70% of the survey respondents felt we need to migrate to a different thing. So
Prakash,
now
I'll
that
just
leads,
add one sentence. Sorry,
yes,
I'll just add.
yes, yes.
One is, if you looked into this commission and council, it is totally dominated by medical people. Okay. Nowhere they have said it that we need allied healthcare professionals. They only have talked about chairman. All other they are looking into the appointment is from medical fraternity. And the moment you are there with the medical fraternity, please understand it is very hard to grow under a big banyan tree. Okay. After some time, what these medical people are going to do, they are going to dictate the terms. Somewhat at this juncture, we are safe. Though they dictate terms, but not every medical professional. Here they have not defined it. So that itself is a danger both in terms of council as well as commission. I wish they could have said it will be only and only represented by healthcare professionals. They have fixed almost
So
everywhere medical
the
people.
okay, so that comes under the cautionary, but advantage is something which we are looking at here. So while we are discussing among the panelists and we are ticking the time and the clock is ticking, so I'm going to rush through a few more questions which I have kept in store for the panel, but I'm going to ask the audience to keep typing their questions or suggestions if they have any, and we have some ways to respond to them at the end if there's going to be some possibility for time. So let me go to the very quickly to say what is the advantage of staying in RCI. There is regulatory stability. We have had this system functioning for 40 years, though may not be at a pace we all like it to be, but it is functioning for 40 years. So there are stable rules, there's core standards have been set, and this have been periodically revised by a set of professionals amongst us who have volunteered to provide the change required for curriculum. Academic presence, traditional programs, stable transitions, disability legislations have been added to the strength of the functioning of the council. Government schemes, district disability offices have come. Central register, legal identity, person with disability system is there. Protected titles, legal recognitions as rehabilitation centers, special schools. The PWD Act, after it has come, several things have again been streamlined. Established system, consistent implementation, they have a way to function. Institutional familiarity, we are aware how things work, whereas in NCAP, we still do not know how things will roll out. And there is clear scope defined by disability laws and practice norms. Scope of practice is defined for us. So these are some of the advantages which I think I wanted to highlight to the audience. This leads to the next question, where the survey says 70% of us very strongly think we need a change. Okay. So I want to ask this question to Mr. Chandan. Could you highlight the potential opportunities NCAP may bring to us? You think will it make our functioning in our profession better by aligning to NCAP? What is your thought?
Quickly, it brings in a change in the approach, as said by Dr. Goswami also. This brings in a change from approach from training only to services as it talks about scope of practices for all. It talks about clinical practice guidelines. It talks about educational standards very clearly. The standard more structured and the standards are set much higher. It talks about an national eligibility test for the educators as well. Uh, it talks about there is a confusion over which was mentioned that state if you register in one state, it is not like as in US you cannot practice. It is very clearly mentioned in the act that if you register under a state, you automatically get registered under the central and you can practice all over the country. Uh, uh, the things here are, I believe this is going to be the act of future, which will be an umbrella thing, and it will clearly divide the two things, that is education and healthcare, into two things. So the rehabilitation professionals who are working for education of the disabled should move under the section of education, Ministry of Education, and those who are working for to eliminate or reduce the burden of disability should come under the healthcare section, which will be under the M. Now, the advantage over here is in RCI, we feel safe. But why can't we think of bringing all the experiences from RCI and making the NCAP enricher and use the same resources that we have worked over 4 decades? In NCHAP, there is provision of RCI's representation also. There will be in the commission, there is a provision of RCI being represented as well. So we can always bring in what we have already done. I feel this movement is only about we fishes moving from fish tank to a larger pond.
Okay, so you see a larger opportunity, but you have suggested that we ride on two horses, that we have the tag of rehabilitation profession and the healthcare also, and sometimes riding on two horses will be quite dangerous too. Though the act has the scope, it's all at aspirational level today. There are 56 such professionals who have been unregulated for the last 75 years. Will they take priority over us, or will we take the priority? Is a question again we need to think. While at this point, when we shift, will this going to be an opportunity, or will we be more, into a bigger mess of things which will think? These are debatable
I
again.
strongly feel this will be an opportunity which we need to take and make use of it and make from ourselves prominent.
Taken. So you see this as opportunity. The other side of it is what we have to think and debate is something. I had a hand raise from Dr. Goswami.
I just have one thing. I know health is going to be future, right? But one thing, please understand. I was there in one of the conference. They are saying future is your rehabilitation, because by 2030 you will have maximum geriatric individual, and because of the better facilities in the medical fraternity, the incidence and prevalence of disability is going to increase. Okay. Plus, what happens when we work in healthcare sector, like PMR, where are you going to fix them? PMR, these people are talking about that let us bring all these healthcare sectors under PMR. They are talking now, and they are dictating in almost all the corporate sector. So I think we should be little careful.
Thank you so much for that question, but I think again we are running out of time. I have some more questions to ask, and I will bring in Jitendra. Okay, so this comes to the next part of the question, potential opportunities. We also asked our survey respondents to choose what do they see as opportunities of this migration. So grievance redressal mechanism, potentially they think they may be stronger than RCI. Establishment of central and state register for professionals is an opportunity because possibly the enforcements are much easier. Regulation at the state level possibly is there. Where Chandan also pointed out, there is only one registration, but state council registrations, I think it's a little unclear now, but they may be allowed to practice across the borders
Yes.
of the states, but they still, how these are going to be governed is not very clearly. Better alignment with other healthcare professions. So we have chances to work with others and we are not alienated or we are not separated separately. Wider recognition in the healthcare system because we come under the health and other, and 80% of the respondents actually said maybe there are more than one advantage. It is just not one, but there is really a larger advantage of moving to NCAP. But I think panel here is to educate, saying that there is a caveat on the other side as well. We should be considerate of those things too. That leads to the next question. Maybe I should bring in Jitendra here now. In your experience, of dealing with the youth, being youth yourself, what do you see? What is falling short in RCI? How can we address this as the changing landscape of ASLPs today? we see more and more people in the health than in the rehab actually. And you see more opportunities for people to practice in the hospitals than in special schools or independent rehab centers. So where are these RCIs falling short? Can you highlight that?
As good evening, first of all. As Dr. Goswami mentioned about the future is in the rehabilitation. Definitely, it is there in the rehabilitation, but we should also consider the fact that the modern or the current clinical expertise as well as the dynamics of the ASLP profession is reaching far beyond the clinical expertise alone. We are moving in various types of industries, ISRO or you say NASA, as well as in the DRDO also there are researches going on where we could have been doing those researches, but I'm not naming, but those people are doing those sort of researches which we could have been doing. So the modern clinical and community roles of ASLPs and scope of practice is not fully recognized as RCI in the section function of council section 11A-B. It talks about the recognition of the qualification of the ASLPs. The moment we complete VSLV and register with the RCI, we are tagged with the audiologist or speech language pathologist title. But there are hospitals, I should not name, and we all know, where our fellow professionals are still working under the tag of audiometrist, some sort of technician or technical officer. And there are various places where even the promotion is not being taken care as per the RR, the recruitment rules. Other than that, there is a real world example with me. I have an ASLP has applied for the director position at NIE PVD, despite having the requisite qualifications. Sir is smiling. I think you are aware about it, right? So she was told that she doesn't have the experience in the disability sector. She was my teacher at one time. So she was registered with RCI since 2007. So we have to look into these, that how can they say that we do not have experience in the disability. If we do not, then who? And as Chandan sir mentioned, the penalty structure, it is very weak. Definitely, 2,000 rupees and 1 year of imprisonment. I think it again should be taken into consideration. And also, if we talk about the institutional level from where we are, kind of manufacturing or creating the future professionals, the uniform standards across training institution should be taken into consideration. It's out of the integrity of the people working over there who are trying to maintain the standards and doing their best. But there are institutions not to be named here where these sort of things are not being.
We are better developing grooming than creating or manufacturing professionals. So the institutions possibly will be working on grooming them, developing them to become more ethical and doing things rightly than manufacturing or creating. That's true. Right, go ahead. And
The
let
work,
me,
the
sorry
words
for,
may be different, sir. Means not to mention that they are products or something like that. But yeah, when we are building the future professionals, these aspect has to be taken into consideration. Of course, RCI has been the foundational, but the profession has expanded far beyond the act originally envisioned, and the current models does not fully support the modern multidisciplinary, technologically advanced and healthcare integrated roles of ASLPs at present.
very true. I think there is scope for the way RCI can work now, and RCI can work only if we suggest those things for them. And we are RCI, in fact. We are members, we are registered professionals under RCI. We have to write to them, we have to periodically keep educating them too, to see the changes, what is happening. And it is bilateral, both ways. Thank you again. And is there any other point which any other panelists would like to um, add to Mr. Jitendra on this question, where is the RCI model falling short? He pointed out on the enforcement of the ethical practices and mispractice terminologies, the title protections under jobs as audiometrician and things. The councils have to write to different employing agencies to revise these things. He also pointed out on the quality of education, and though there is a curriculum which RCI has come out, is there a mechanism to see quality checks of how these are being implemented, and maybe the state licensing exams or exit exams may be a solution to those, or an eligibility solution test may be a solution. We do not know. Such things may evolve, and these can
Another
become.
good
Prakash, I can just comment one thing.
Yes,
I
please.
think the biggest problem with the RCI is that you do not have professional who is the head of the RCI. Okay, it is run by the bureaucrat.
So I'm going to
Because
restrict this as my initial thing. I'm
yeah, no,
not
no,
here
I'm
to
just
talk
saying, I'm
about
not saying because what
the
has happened is
council.
because of that things
Is
have
an
been not
officer
been heard.
appointed? Is an officer appointed by the government of India? And with all due respects to that office, we have to restrict that. We cannot comment on any person as
No, no,
a
we are
thing.
not commenting on that
But
person because until and unless that is not there, what is written in Act, they are not following that. As a result,
Goswami,
most of the policies are
Prakash, can
not
I
being heard.
interfere?
Yeah, ma'am.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I know. I
Yes,
want to
ma'am.
talk more about what Jitendra was saying with reference to quality of education and all. So all that falls within our purview.
Our
Just
purview.
by changing the council, I cannot say that the quality of education will improve. Just by moving from one council to another council, you cannot ensure that all institutes will provide better quality of education.
And we
So,
assess them. Most of us, we
most of
assess.
it, mechanisms are set. How these are being enforced depends upon how we are
Yeah.
responding to this. As a team, we as audiologists and speech pathologists, our responsibilities will make a difference. So that takes me to the next question, or before that, I had some more slides possibly. So these are
great.
some changes which we can introducing licensing exam, continuous competence assessments, eligibility for teachers, defining healthcare level competency standards. We don't still have a competency based syllabus. We have syllabus which is telling these are the tasks they should know, but there is no way to assess competencies. Introduce academic progression pathways for modern healthcare roles of the rehabilitation professionals, which Mr. Chandan pointed out, where we are branching out in different forms, but are these defined? It is all addressed in the syllabi, but are these competencies checked? Do we have identified roles on these? Introducing teacher qualifying mechanism and mechanisms to maintain quality of teacher is another important aspect which possibly have to. And so jointly working with the rehab models and the health models will be quite a bit. So we have already short time, and I think I'm going to have the last set of questions. Um, Challenges in uh, with NCAP? That was the question, but this is what the respondents said. Nearly 60% of the respondents says, though there is a wish to move, they also identify there are challenges in moving. Confused identity as rehabilitation professional versus a healthcare specialist. Minimal or possibly no ASLP representation in NCAP for the next 5 years because their agenda is different. 56 programs have to be regulated. We are already a regulated running mechanism. Where are they going to listen to us? That is another point which people have pointed. Risk of dilution of profession specific identity under the broader healthcare council, instability and uncertainty in implementation. There is all aspirational layout. How is this going to be implemented? We really do not know. And it is all, as of what we understand, is going to be given to the state for implementation. Commission will regulate and form the rule, but enforcement will come from the state, and that is quite going to be difficult, or maybe advantageous as well. Mandatory curriculum, exam, affiliation restructuring, possibility of need for entry and exit, laws of existing representation under RCI, potentially will be governed by a medical profession. That is something which Dr. Goswami again pointed out. These were other confusions, and most of them said more than, though there is an aspiration that we have to move, but there are going to be challenges which may remain with us even if we migrate. The disadvantages of aligning with NCAP is curriculum development. They have only done 13 course recognitions. We do not really know how our courses will be recognized. There is no mitigation planning. We really do not know how we will move, what will the changes be, what will be our priority, and control of implementation. We will have to fight among the 56 if at all we move. These may be the challenges which we have to bear in mind if at all we all agree to move to a different council. then evolve how do we move. First, thinking we have to move itself is an important thing for us to decide. I think it's time for some questions, if at all there are any from the audience. Not unmuting, but I will have Dr. Namita and Dr. Saransh. Um, I do not know if they have
Yeah,
already sent me some
yeah.
questions or.
There are a few questions, and I'll take it from the very first question from Dr. Lakshmi Venkatesh. She says, we understand that NCAHP Act does not provide a public breakdown that labels exactly which of the 56 are healthcare professionals versus allied health professional. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that is something which Dr. Goswami said. There is no clear demarcation, though there is definition in terms of training hours and number of years, but there could be overlapping categories, and as of that is not resolved today. We do not know. Maybe there will be some ways to resolve it.
Yeah, so another question by Mr. Sadanand Gore. He asks, any provision of legal actions in NCAHP against non-professionals? Is there any
Yeah, it is
possibility?
there.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is
So,
clearly.
can somebody provide light to the audience? Like, how can a legal proceeding be initiated on somebody who is not a registered professional in a commission or a council? What are the councils restricted to, or what is the law possible on somebody who is not registered with RCI or NCAP?
You want me to
So these,
answer?
yeah, I'm asking the panelists to
Yeah. See, basically,
throw light.
whenever any non-professional is there, someone has to put a complaint, and it cannot be ambiguous and anonymous, right? You have to define it, and you should have an evidence. Usually, in all professionals, you can look into medical also. There are people who are practicing it. Okay, so council will only direct it to the police that you file a case or you assess it. But basically, these all quacks or non-professionals and all, until and unless you have a legitimate, what you called as complaint, proof, and we keep on adding that. We keep on probing it again and again. The problem is once we write it, we don't give a follow-up. So it is our onus that how do we escalate that and at what level we are going to escalate it.
Thank you, Dr. Goswami, for clearly bringing out saying that the council has their jurisdiction only to its registered members, which means if I am registered professional as an audiologist and speech language pathologist, and if I don't follow the code of conduct or ethical practice, council has a directive on me. Council can sue me. Council can impose penalty, can impose imprisonment on the identified, proven unethical practice. But if I am not registered with RCI, the council really cannot do anything on that person who is not registered.
No, then
Person
police
who
got to
can
file.
Then
do
it
it
comes.
is if suppose I have a problem with some service provider and I have written to the council only can say this person is registered with us and he is supposed to be doing this, or this person is not registered with us. Approach the concerned criminal proceeding empowering authority.
It
Okay,
will
so
go
it could
under
be
the
the
criminal
commissioner of
code.
disability, or it
Disability.
could be the police, local police. It could be the enforcement authority who is there for the protection of law in that state. That's all.
The,
So the
this this
council
person
cannot.
will be this person will be treated as impersonation of a service provider.
So impersonation of a service provider is when I have falsely claimed I'm a registered member. If I have put a registration number outside, okay, then the council can say this person is not registered with me. If I have nowhere to claim, I call myself audiologist, speech language pathologist, but I am not claiming this is my registration number, then it is not
Council
impersonation.
council cannot. BNS can.
See, what will happen is this is basically when we do it, there are two people who can play an important role. One, who are availing services. It can go as a PIL that, okay, there is a misuse of the people. That is a different, but when we try to do is all councils have these issues. I'm not saying it is not. All councils.
This is true with all the
All.
regulation. So you should all of us should understand the law is made to protect us.
Yes.
Law is not to penalize us. We are looking for actions of penalty or penalization through the law. Laws are made to protect the citizens of the country. We are all here to abide by the law, and we are trying to find solutions in the place to protect, to find how will they be penalized. So that is the problem. So I think next question, Namita, we'll go ahead if there are
Yes,
any more.
yes, there are. So, Samir sir is also saying that the complaint can be given to the Commissioner of Disability with proof, as Goswami sir rightly said. So, people are asking, should we wait? Because only 21% of representation has happened in the poll, and we discussed about only 21%. So, what about the rest 400 people who have put their opinion? And so, is it really early to decide for NCAHP and RCI, or
No, I
are we
think
really the ones?
I would like to clarify that this is not for deciding anything. We were only educating ourselves. We were looking at the pros and cons. We were looking at the acts to understand it, how this can be really implemented, how our profession should move forward. And so the 98 were taken who said, I am very aware of what I am responding to. The others
I hope
were
there
all
will be
grouped
more
in.
downloads. I
Then we
hope
have
there
a
will be more downloads of
the act
NCHP
to understand it completely, and that is what is required as responsible professionals in this community of ours. We have to read it properly ourselves, understand the spirit of this law and how this will be applicable for us, of this act, how this will be applicable for us. I hope there are no more questions. This is all I see in the WhatsApp also.
Dr. Prakash, can
Hi,
I?
sir.
Yes.
Sir,
There
this is
is
Dinesh here, sir.
there is there is
Sir,
one question which I think our panelists can just respond to. Do we have rights to decide if we can remain or leave RCI, or will it be decided at Parliament level? So, if there can be one quick comment on that by the panelists or by you.
We do not have right.
Ma'am,
Yes.
you do not have as right
We
because
can give a representation, yes, but we do not really
Yes.
have a right to say I want to be in this council versus the other council.
ma'am, when we give it also, we have to give justification why.
Justification, yes.
What are our terms of reference? What are our issues? What
What
are
is
our
a
concerns?
problem with the existing council? Why should we move? So that is the major thing that comes.
Or you go to
Oh,
the court of law. Court will direct it. The only two systems.
thank you. Thank you very much. I think we have shot by 25 minutes. Last 5 minutes, 1 minute for each panelist.
sir,
I'm going to have one
hello.
last.
Hello, sir. This is Dinesh here from Hyderabad and Telangana.
Please
So I have,
no, please
Please
unmute yourself.
put
yes,
Mute yourself. You can only put your question on the
in the
chat
text.
box. We do not want to take any question from the audience. Thank you for your understanding. So I'm going to ask this question to a senior professional amongst the panelists. I think I'll start with Vanaja ma'am. Okay. What should students and early career ASLPs keep in mind as these two acts evolve?
sir, I want to
Yes.
only one small question when there
No,
is no
I'm
response.
sorry, Mr. Dinesh.
You can put the question.
You can put it in your chat box, please. Please understand that I cannot make a separate rule separately. Please, ma'am.
Yeah, I would definitely say that all professionals should know all the acts. So they should know RCA Act. They should also know NCAP clearly as to what the uh, responsibilities of both these acts are. And ideally, you don't really have to worry about should I be in this council versus the other council.
Thank you. Two important points. Be aware of it very clearly. Read it line by line. Understand the implications of it today and for future. And don't worry about whether you are in this or that. You are in India and you are trained to provide your service. Reach out
Exactly.
the people who you cater to. Thank you very much for making that punch, ma'am, there. Next, I would go to Dr. Goswami. In one sentence, um, what is one takeaway you would like everyone to remember from today's discussion?
One thing which I want is that at present you are safe, secure. Please focus on developing your clinical research, academic advocacy skills. NCHP is still in the infant stage. It's still in honeymoon period. We need to wait and watch, and whatever our issues and concerns are there, let us take it to RCI. Let us discuss, deliberate, and debate and find a solutions. Under a big umbrella, we will not be able to groom in a longer.
So he says diving into deeper sea may be dangerous. It is better for us to know, to tap what we have already, and let's make our representation louder and clearer so that we possibly will end up with good solutions for us. Thank you very much, Dr. Goswami.
Dr. Prakash,
Yes,
Mr. Dinesh, whom we muted, he just wants to have a question. Like, if the commissioner of
we'll do. Once we wrap up, we will possibly. Um, so, third panelist, Mr. Chandan, in one sentence, what does ASLP profession need most today? You think clarity, collaboration, regularity, or regulation, and or unity. Why any of these?
We require clarity, competence, and abiding by the rules.
Abide the rules.
Discipline, clarity, competence, and go by the rules. Discipline.
And why would you want to say one more sentence adding why? Of course, all three values are very important. Why is self-explanatory, but
Why?
if you want to
Why?
add something.
Yeah. Why? Why? Because we have to fight for our position. It is never given. We have to capture those positions. And like what we take our disabled patients, we have to get maximum of what we have and not be afraid of what may happen. We have to claim our position in the bigger earth. A fish in the fish tank, even if it is given all the food, grows only this much. In a larger pond, it has a larger opportunity to grow.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chandan. I think he reinforced the point that believe in yourself, work at your own local community. What you can do there is a larger thing than worrying about what we need to be doing elsewhere. So that's great. Thank you very much. So we need clarity. We need to have rule abidance, which means we have to follow the rules. Miss Dr. Pinky, if you could recommend one action for ISHA institution clinicians to support clarity, what would it be?
Sorry. I would suggest to develop the good professional skills, and quality representation will be the most important things, irrespective of whether we are going for the as a rehabilitation professionals or being in a allied health science professional. Finally, our
Right.
quality professionals are going to give us power.
So again, quality speaks for itself. So you don't really require to worry about anything else. If you are qualified and quality prevails there, people will seek your services and you will be top runner. Wonderful. Great. Mr. Jitendra, the youth today. So I want you to leave the audience with one concluding message. You represent the larger uh, diaspora of people from the current generation. So I thought, what would you want them to remember? One message.
This thing, so I would like to request to Isha, let's have a unity drive, not for the fundraising purpose, what we did in DishaCon and ISHACon, but for the strengthening of the professionals. We have over 10,000 professionals, but somewhere the unity is lacking. There are professionals who are banned, organizations who are banned from ISHA side. Maybe we can try to communicate with them if they are willing to communicate in a proper way. Of course, नरम दल और गरम दल दोनों होते हैं, तो स्वतंत्रता के लिए दोनों दल एक साथ में काम करते हैं. So we should have
Wonderful.
a
Thank
better
you.
unity first. When we'll have a unity, then we can have a better communication. When we have better communication, we can have better clarity. And when we have a better clarity, we can take better decisions and regulate better regulations. That's all.
Thank you. Thank you. So unity is the punch. He wants to say, stay united, we will become stronger. So before I go to my thank you, let me take that last question because Dr. Namita recommended.
Yeah, so Mr. Dinesh is asking, not after summing up the whole thing, I don't think it is unanswered, but anyways, what
If it
can
is
we,
answered, then we leave it.
No, we
yeah,
can answer him. We can answer him.
what to do when the Commissioner of Disability does not respond? And what will be the ISHA's next step from after today's panel?
So the action point. So we will summarize this again, and we will look at what are the potential actions we can take. This will be brought out again to the larger GB. Participate in the GB. Think for don't only think on the day of GB, but it is us. We are all speaking for ourselves, for our profession. It's going to impact our lives. The future of our profession is in our hands only. So it is important for us to stay united, think aligned in a way which will be advantageous for the entire profession in the country. That's how we have to do. I think we will evolve steps. Nisha is empowered to with a body, and they will be doing things. That's the hope. We will be doing something. Okay.
You want me to answer
I,
for his question?
what to do with the commissioner? Yes.
Yeah. The simple question is again send one reminder. If you don't get it parallelly, please put an RTI. If he does not respond to RTI, please put an RTI to CIC. There will be a response. If they also don't respond, there is a under DOPT, there is a gram. You can put it to them. But you have to be consistently trying it. When you try 100 times, you will get one response.
And so that is what it's important that we keep writing and not talking or WhatsApping or social media is not going to work. It is important that we represent and knock the right channels, right doors, and we have to be activists in our own local community. If we see something going wrong, we have to take the initiative instead of saying Isha should. Isha is also we only, no. Isha cannot do anything which is happening in my street. So it is important that I rise up to that and start working. So keep writing is what is the answer for that. So I really want to thank each one of you who have joined today, the 5 panelists particularly, Professor Vanaja, Professor Goswami, Mr. Chandan, Dr. Pinki, and Mr. Jitendra. Thank you so much for providing this educative discussion, which has absolutely allowed us to think differently from your perspectives and the perspectives we think we should align. Final word of thank you to President of ISHA, Dr. Aparna Nandurkar. Thank you so much for giving me this freedom to talk and allowing the panelists to speak things. General Secretary of ISHA, Dr. Namita, the EC of ISHA, and I particularly want to thank the Joint Secretary of ISHA, Mr. Dr. Saransh Jain, who was very instrumental in designing the survey and analyzing it. So thank you so much, Saranj. And my thanks to the Secretarial Assistant, Ms. Shweta, who kept on bombarding uh, for registration and participation. More we listen to such things, possibly we'll have our little more thinking hands open. I also want to thank my 2 PhD scholars who traveled with me for this last 15, 16 days of putting the slides together, digging up all the history, reading together, and making these things. Thank you, Shushmita and Shreya. And I thank my institution, where I am professor and principal at the Ramchandra Faculty of Audiology and Speech Language Pathology, for the time and their permissions to participate in this capacity. Thank you, one and all. I thank all the audience who joined on a Sunday afternoon, evening, and to listening to these things. Thank you very much. So I want to end up with a quote. Systems may shape and influence us today, but our vision must shape the system we choose tomorrow. So it's very important what we want to align to, and as the punch is to stay united. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. Yeah, so Dr. Prakash has already, done the vote of thanks. and my job is already half done. But still, I extend warm welcome to all the panelists from ISHA and Dr. Prakash for taking this panel up, Dr. Saransh for really making the poll worth and making good questions. We have received lot of mails regarding why should we not go under NCAHP, why should we stay under RCI. There are a lot of issues like people do not know about what to do when the complaints come, what to look for in the act. So I really was I'm very happy that ISHA could put through this up to understand both NCHP and RCI differences and commonalities, and how we can stick to enhancing healthcare in India. And I thank all the members who have joined today. But I was really hoping that out of 210 members who registered, only 97 consistently were attending this webinar. I was hoping for more. So I really invite all the members to join the future webinars. We will be conducting some more webinars, maybe before GB, or some more polls before GB on this topic. There are so many questions people keep asking through mail. I was really hoping that today those people who mailed us were present here, and I'm very disappointed that many of them were not available today for today's date. Anyways, but hoping for good. And as rightly told by the panel, we should educate ourselves more about the acts before taking any decision, and the decision is not ours to make. So have a great evening, everyone. With Dr. Aparna Nandurkar, our president's permission, I declare the webinar over.
Closed.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shweta, please stop the recording.
Yes, ma'am.